This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Life. And this is an interview I've been looking forward to for quite a while now.
Oh,
Zack
come on now.
Owen.
Be honest. Be serious. Come on.
You, Zack. All right.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna be serious.
This reminds me of when Jim and I first started, and you were established at Waco, WACO, and the legend Frank Fallon, and I think you used to slap us around back then too.
I don't recall that being the case. You were like two little naughty seventh graders that I was dealing with every day.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was the time. I mean, you came to Waco 100 in 92.
I came in late 91.
Oh, late 91.
And then I hired Jim January of 92.
Okay.
He started January 92. But I mean, if you kind of recall, my job was to come in. John Blake was the general manager.
He was the general manager, yeah.
And I had known John from days in Longview.
Right.
Anyway, I came in to fire everybody and start over. And I kept Greg Sachs.
Yeah.
You know, he called himself the Sax Man.
Yeah.
And then John Elliott had come
yeah.
back kind of part-time, and so we hired him full-time. Yeah. I hired Jim, I hired a couple other people, and that was it.
Yeah, well, of course, we were doing the AM thing.
Yes.
Too, still, Jim Miller and Rick May, and Ron Hall was in there. I get all the dates kind of.
Oh my gosh,
kind
those
of
were the
mix
days.
Up. Yeah, but
But
yes.
I remember you did the news.
I did the news. I didn't get fired, so.
Had a newsroom, and then had a little extra room where back in those days had the printers. Remember the AP or UP, whatever it was. And you'd rip and rewrite the news and do all that and read it. And...
Yeah, doing mornings, morning news back then. You got your start, though, in 77.
Yeah.
In Cleburne.
Cleburne, Texas, home of the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. Yeah, and did you always know you wanted to do radio? Is this?
Oh, yeah. In fact, it's funny. I just told this story a couple of days ago. When I was little, elementary school, I knew I wanted to be a DJ. Yeah. I really did. And my mom on Saturday, on the weekend, would drive me over to the west side of Fort Worth it was an independent TV station called KTVT at the time, Channel 11. Mm-hmm. And they also had an AM radio called KFJZ. And the DJ was Marky Baby. And he went on to be famous. He was part of the Hudson and Harrigan team, Stevens and Pruitt team. Anyway, I would stand there and watch. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. And so thankfully for 47 years, I got to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't end the way I wanted it to end, but, it was meant for a reason, and things are only going to get better.
Oh, well, that's right. And all of us in broadcasting kind of live with that reality that they could just show you the door any time. But Zack, after 31 years at Waco 100, stellar ratings the whole time, and making buku money. Yeah. But still, you would think if somebody had job security, but not so with iHeartMedia.
And if anything, and I've said this before too, my contract was going to end in February of 25.
Yeah.
And so this was March 15th when they let me go. And I said, just keep me through the contract. I'll be happy to walk out, but I want to say goodbye to the listeners, and I want to say thank you to the advertisers that have been with us forever. And no, so they fire you and pay you for 6 months, which makes no sense to me, but anyway.
And so I know you sort of waited to tell more of the story of how that happened. I know with our friend Andrew Gomez on the Public Affair. Listen to that fascinating interview. We won't have quite as much time to get into the tall weeds, but it really was one of those days you said goodbye on a Friday afternoon thinking you'd be back on Monday.
Have a great weekend. Yeah. See you Monday. And I knew, because I've had to pull the trigger and let good people go too. And as soon as I said goodbye, the door cracks open of the studio, and it was a guy that was considered my supervisor out of Beaumont. And I knew right then, because some little things had popped up, some weird things happening, like, hey, I might want to do this a little bit longer. I want to extend my contract. Or, hey, I want to hire Jennifer Allen as a new partner. Nobody could ever replace Jim,
I know,
but whatever. And it just was like, oh, we'll think about it. We'll put it off, And in the old days, they would have done it immediately. And so I knew something was coming. But it's great because, 8 years ago, I got interested in real estate, and it just made me take the step forward. And I got my license and studied and went to work for Doug Eastland, Waco Realtors. So many of my friends work there, and I've had a great time. It's been almost 4 months, and I mean, it's great. I love it. I'm excited about it. The other great thing is when you're not selling a house, you can go play golf.
Yeah, you have gotten to work on your swing a little bit, huh?
It needs a lot of help. A lot of
Well,
work.
and of course, I guess, old broadcasters never die. They just go to the new media.
That's exactly right.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, I had been bombarded after I announced that I'd been fired. People going, you got to do a podcast. Got to do a podcast. It's the hottest thing since, sliced bread. And I said, I may do that, but I'm going to wait because I have this non-compete. If I want to get my severance money, I have to do this.
Sure.
So I said, let me wait. And the fine folks from Rogue Media had contacted me about that. And I said, I'll get back with you. Well, in the meanwhile, time goes by and the non-compete passes. And I'm thinking, I'm done with media. And I get a call from Corey from Rogue Media. And he said, hey, I've got an idea. How about doing a live morning show Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 o'clock on YouTube TV? I go, what? No,
Now that's a thought.
that's kind of crazy, but it is the future. And that's it.
Yeah.
So many, and I want to say that I'm different than anybody, but so many people in our business, radio especially, they couldn't see the future. When it changed from records to cartridges and from cartridges to
those
CDs,
CDs, yeah.
and computers, and they just, that's not me, and they got out. And I loved it. I would welcome the new technology. I thought it was so great. And so looking ahead now to podcasting and YouTube TV, I'm just super excited about it. I mean, I don't know anybody else that does a live 2-hour Monday through Friday morning show in Waco. Immediately, let me tell you what really sold me is when they said you don't have to get up and be here at 5 in the morning.
Right, exactly.
Like the old
Yeah, that
days.
morning drive, that it requires you be there at the crack of early. But
Yeah.
yes, this is the kind of thing that you can enjoy what you do, play great music, interact. And it'll be interesting to see how this all works, with the listeners being able maybe to have some immediate
Sure.
interaction with you.
Sure. And there's so many things after so many years. And Ann, you're very popular. You were known for radio and then TV. And still to this day, you can walk into the grocery store or the bank or wherever, and people will walk up to you and say, God, I miss you.
Yeah.
Or thank you for doing this or whatever. And I got to tell this quick story. I was in HEB and standing there looking at the price of meat. And I'm going, and this young guy, well, I say young, he's in his 30s. He says, excuse me. He said, I just want to let you know, you did every one of my birthdays on the radio.
Yeah,
and
I think you
love
did every one of mine too.
And well, let's see, you're only 27. So anyway, and he said, I just miss you so much. And,
Yeah.
and I said, oh my God, that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
But there's things that you learn after the fact. Things like birthdays. We're going to do those, birthdays and anniversaries.
good.
Because people say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is the first time you've never done my birthday. We're going to do that. We're going to have Nashville Cat, who was very popular on our show. She's going to be on the show with me. I've already reached out to people like Rodney Carrington and the Huser brothers and Kevin Fowler, and just I want to get Gordon Collier on.
Oh, good,
There's so many
yeah.
people that I want to have on the show and just have a good time.
Yeah, and so will they be doing music live, or will it be recorded?
I hope so.
Or?
I think we'll do a little bit of both.
Yeah, you can, because it will be broadcast from the Texas Music Cafe.
Yes. And I mean, a great, I've been kind of reading up on I didn't realize it had been around so long. And I just saw a post the other day from a musician about the venue. And he says, holy cow, this is the best sound, the best acoustics. He said, this place is unbelievable.
Good.
So I'm excited because I have not heard music in there before.
Well, it's located on 6th Street.
Yes,
right.
between Franklin and Austin Avenue. And it's...
So will there be the opportunity for live audience?
yes,
How fun
I've
will
been
that
told
be?
that. Now, if you want to get up and be there at 8 o'clock in the
Yeah.
morning, that's good. But yeah, I think we're gonna have a little live audience and play some games and you know.
Oh my gosh.
I was thinking, now I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot, but I was thinking, and we mentioned this earlier, I was going to see if you wanted to be on the first show.
Oh wow.
And of course, I would love to have Frank Fallon on,
Oh, I know.
the legend.
I miss him
But
so
I thought
much.
about reaching out to Steve,
Yeah.
Yeah. Steve probably has some great stories about his
Oh,
father.
he does. Yeah.
And just keeps, anyway, I'm inviting you right now to be on that very first show.
Hey, I'm there. I'm
And
there.
you got to read the news.
Okay. I've got to come up with some news, right?
And
just make it up like I always used to.
And really hated me and Jim. I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. She acts like she likes me, and maybe she likes me now. But back then, we would pick on her, and we produced an audio recording. Everybody had a news intro, and it was like dun dun dun, and they'd go, "Good morning, this is Ann Harder with it." Well, we produced one that said, "Bangkok, Dallas, Los Angeles, Tokyo," and we would say, "If it's news."
To Waco.
If it's news to Waco, it's news to Ann Harder.
Thank you very much. 3 shows a day. Yeah.
we
I
won't-
remember that very well.
and we
yeah,
won't get
that's why I
into-
said you were like a couple of 7th grade boys. Just
But I was in my
annoying.
30s, so it
Oh
was
yeah,
crazy.
well that's true. we were all much younger then. But let's talk.
Also, you hated me back when you were team. I'm not going to say what it was, but when you were teamed with Ray Peters.
Oh well.
But anyway.
I tell you, not so much me, my children, my sons. You didn't even think what they were going through.
Right.
So anyway, just
But it's so
saying.
funny.
In fact, my now 38-year-old son reminded me of that the other day. He said, "You just don't know." So, yeah, that's okay. No. But it's just been interesting to see how our careers have kind of evolved and intertwined. And often you would come, you and Jim came on when I was doing Central Texas Living.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean that was a day you came on. Of course, your normal antics and just had me in stitches laughing. And I think we had a gentleman from England who was some expert on Winston Churchill, and then we had a black choir. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just
was
like
crazy day.
it was like a 3-ring circus.
Yeah.
But it was just so perfect that you were one of the rings.
Yeah.
that day. But let's talk a
Do
little
you
bit
remember
about
the old
Jim.
British TV show, Benny Hill?
Yeah.
It reminded me of an episode of Benny Hill, It's
Yeah, I
like,
can hear the music now. And somebody on a tricycle falling over. Yeah. Oh man. But I don't want to get away too far without remembering our precious Jim and I know when you work with someone as long as you did and had that close working relationship and to see him go through something as horrible as cancer and he fought it with such bravery and courage.
And kept it quiet a lot. He had one weekend way before he really got real sick. He got real sick, and they put him in the hospital. Found out he was a bad diabetic. Had no clue.
Really?
So they kept him all weekend, and that's when little things started popping up as far as he lost weight, he quit doing certain things, and then they found other little things. And then I remember, I believe it was August 14th of 23. It was on a Friday, and he just looked so bad. And he came in, and we had just got back from our Zack and Jim Travel Club trip to Hawaii. We did a Hawaii cruise with everybody, and he didn't feel good that whole trip, but he made it through it. But anyway, that was a Friday. The next night was Cattle Barons Ball, and so this is a 24-hour period. I get to Cattle Barons Ball, and here comes Jim and his wife Melanie, I just almost didn't recognize him. He had changed in 24 hours, and it just broke my heart. And that was the last time at Cattle Barons, or actually the Friday before that, we actually worked together. And then he passed away in October. But very sad. I mean, 59 years old, a family, 4 daughters.
Yeah.
Just got the world ahead of you, Ann.
Yeah, and it was such a moving memorial service for him.
Well, it went way too long, but and people
I
started
don't know, it
making.
didn't seem it to me.
And some people made fun of me. It was almost like they were gonna get me back, but it was.
We got a little bit of a roast.
It was almost like a roast.
But there was video, and of course I remember speaking though. Back full circle to Texas Music Cafe. You guys back in the day with Channel 25 did a Texas
25 hot country cafe.
And it was the same kind of feeling.
Ron Bungie, Tony Whitehead, Trey. What we call him Trey? But anyway, Mark Puckett. Was part of it.
Oh gosh,
it was a great show, and it was the reason for it. I don't know who had the idea, but it was before CMT came to Waco, so there was no access to country videos. So we said, let's do our own country video show. We said, okay, and originally it was recorded at Leslie's Chicken Shack out on the Dallas Highway, and then we decided, let's take this thing on the road, and we would do it from concerts and from. I remember doing it from a Halloween spook house one time, and a trail ride. Christine Kahanick
Oh,
was
yes, I remember Christine.
on it,
She did
and
weather,
Pam Harris.
My
all those
predecessor,
people. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
But it was a funny show. It lasted a few years.
Yeah.
In fact, Ann, we're trying to reach out and get permission. I thought that on Thursdays we'd do like a throwback Thursday and show just a small clip of something on the new show.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well, that would be great.
Yeah, like an old
so
deal.
be able to. Well, you can go on YouTube and find snippets.
Yeah.
From those old shows.
I thought that'd be a good deal to do on Thursdays.
Oh man,
I
throwback
had some
Thursday.
hair and glasses, and I looked. It was terrible. And Jim had. He used to use a Flowbee. We'd kid him, and he had that mullet, the Billy Ray Cyrus.
Oh gosh, he did. He had a mullet. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Well, precious memories those are. Really.
Great memories, and I miss him. And 2 things. We're going to continue the Zack and Jim Travel Club. His wife, Melanie, is going to be going.
Good.
And this year is, actually, it's a little less than a year away. It's trip number 45 of the Travel Club. And we're going to be spending 15 days, July 31st through August 14th. We're going to be cruising Greece, the Greek islands, Croatia, and end up and spend 2 days in Venice.
Oh, my.
And we got a lot of people booked for that. And then we're also going to continue the Zack and Jim All-American Heroes Golf Tournament.
Good.
To give money to the Chris Kyle American Valor Foundation. And that's scheduled, I believe, for May of next year. And this will be, I think, our 32nd golf tournament. So,
it's got to be so rewarding to you, though, to see these things that you established so many years ago that have helped. Some have raised a lot of money and helped so many people and provided wonderful experiences. Still to be going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I just, I'm thankful for this new opportunity, this chance to do this. I mean, it's different. I actually had an interview for a little press release thing yesterday, a young lady named Ava from Baylor, and she goes, well, what do you think? And I go, I really don't know. I don't know what to think.
It's new.
For 47 years, I was in a box.
Yeah, same place right there on Loop 340.
And and before that, I had a few partners at other radio stations, but I usually talk to myself or with Jim, and now it's going to be totally different. So I don't know what to expect. I don't know.
Well, it's just going to be exciting, and what a fun thing at this stage, in your career. I mean, I feel that way. So blessed.
So you're saying
in my
I'm
own
old
situation.
and I am old, but anyway.
Well, I'm just saying. we're we're at a
just
different
saying.
stage in our career.
That is
but
true.
Grateful to the good folks, as you say, here at Rogue Media and the opportunities, and what we saw with this past election.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
has happened with mainstream media, everything is changing.
It's crazy. And I don't know why this just talking about it. Our friend Chris Radcliffe, who passed recently, just the week before, I was at a birthday party at Salty Dog, and he and his wife were there, and we were talking about today's media and how it's changing. Just like I said, it reminds me. Remember how newspaper changed, and then radio, and then TV's changed. It's just changing so fast.
So fast. Yeah.
I told him, I said, at one time, I probably had 60 employees. And now in that building on air, there's 2.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like that at the TV station.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's all changing, and I'm excited
It's
about
changing.
this.
I mean, that's part of
new
life,
thing.
though. Evolving, changing. I mean, and you either, as you say, some folks are like dig their heels in. I'm not going to do anything different.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I'll just play golf, whatever.
Yeah.
But no,
So when you're
you're
going to
you're going to embrace it.
about you. When you left TV, and how did you decide to do a podcast? Was it your decision, or did somebody reach out to you?
Same thing. Okay. The day the announcement came out that I was retiring, I had laryngitis. I couldn't even call anybody or talk to anybody or say anything about it. But that afternoon, I got an email from Mike Hamilton. He said, "Mrs. Harder, you don't know me, but have you ever thought about doing a podcast?" So that's how that all started.
Had you listened to podcasts?
No, I said I'm old. I listen to the radio. But sure, I'll be retired. I could start listening to podcasts. No, and that was almost 5 years ago. Can you
Wow.
believe it? I don't know, 500, I don't know how many of these interviews
That's
I've done.
amazing.
But I'm just so grateful to get to do this, because this allows us to sit and talk and visit for 25 minutes, however long.
Yeah.
Get into the tall weeds, enjoy, each other's presence, and have a conversation. Whereas in television, it's like sound bites. You better get it out there in 15 seconds or, so that's what's been a blessing to me, to be able to talk to a lot of the people that I've visited with at Channel 25, certainly on Central Texas Living, local nonprofits and people that are doing so much good in this community, and to let them tell their story. Again, I don't know who listens to these. I really don't know, but it's out there, and it's almost like oral history.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of how I view it, and I'm just grateful as all
I-
get
I-
out that I get to do this.
I have it on good authority. I heard Vladimir Putin listens to your podcast.
Well, maybe
I really
so.
do. I really do.
Maybe so.
He loves skiing.
Okay. Well, I
So
want to.
okay, remember my show. I want
It
you
is
to be on
called. It is called Zack Owen Live from Texas Music Cafe.
January 6th,
January
8 in the morning.
6th.
You're going to be on it.
I will be
and
there.
I want you to practice between now. I want to know, and the viewers are going to want to know one thing about Ann Harder that nobody knows, other than Mike. We know you love to sing, and you do a great
I'm pretty much
job.
an open book.
Well, I want you to think of one thing. Okay? Work on that. And I'm going to ask you that on the show.
Okay. I'll think of
Like
something.
there's a
So
food
you don't want
that
any.
you hate that maybe nobody knows, or something you hate to cook, or
Oh,
you're terrible,
okay.
whatever. Think
Oh,
about it.
there's lots of.
Okay.
I
All
guess
right.
there's lots of things like that. I like to end these though with a little questionnaire. So I'm
Okay.
going to give these to you right quick. What is your favorite word?
I'm going to tell you something totally opposite. I'm going to tell you my least favorite word, the one thing that I'm hung up on. People that say like.
It's
Like.
a verbal crutch.
It's a verbal crutch.
Yeah.
In the business, and you will know what I'm going to say. In the old days, we had Paul Harvey. And
Oh,
Paul,
gosh.
instead of saying, or like having a crutch, he would pause. And it was known as the Paul Harvey pause. But I dislike the word like.
Very good. Well, I was going to ask your least favorite word, so you don't have a favorite
Great.
word? Okay, good.
I'll say,
That's
I
good.
said, man, that's great.
All right. Yeah, awesome. I tend to use awesome. And I remember you just brought back that memory of me timing into Paul Harvey. That
Harvey.
was...
He's a legend.
I know, and I got to hear him every day. I grew up listening to him at lunchtime. So,
And to be
anyway.
honest, we had Paul Harvey in Abilene when I was there before Waco, and he was on from 12 to 12:15. It was the long cast, the 15-minute one. And we were trying to figure out, because Paul Harvey really reached out to the older audience.
Sure.
And so that's when I came up with completely breaking the format and going back with classic music. And I brought that to Waco and Lunch Country Classics. People would always say, well, why do you do that just for 45 minutes? Well, it followed Paul Harvey because we had Paul Harvey here.
Sure.
And once he left, I just kept it. And it was one of the most loved hours of the day.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Oh, golly. What turns me on creative is fun. I love, over the years in radio, unfortunately, when you work for a big corporate, you can't play a lot of local music, local artists.
Right.
But I tried to do as much as I could on my own without getting really in trouble. But I love hearing songwriters. I've always wanted to write songs, and I can't. And I've always wanted to sing and play an instrument, and I can't. So being able to discover or help young talent, whether they're songwriters or singers or a band or whatever, I think that excites me. I like that. I like that about the show, that we're going to feature a lot of that.
Yeah. Really focus on it. That's what's
I think,
awesome.
I'm very fortunate. It's kind of weird being at my age and say fiance, but she's more than a girlfriend. We've been together about 4.5 years now. And I know it sounds hokey, but the last 4 years has been so different and so great. Just the person she is, and she's changed me in so many ways. And it's funny because we'll be out and somebody will tell a story, kind of like the stories we told, and she'll go, "That's you? I can't believe you did that." I go, "Yeah."
Oh, well.
But I guess, new music and just love and let's be happy. Let's, we got the greatest country in the world. Yeah. Whether you think so or not, it still is I travel the world. I love travel, and it's another thing that makes me happy.
Yeah.
But love our country, no matter what. Work for the best. Let's all get along.
What's your favorite sound?
Favorite sound? Oh gosh, I don't know. There for the longest. Remember, they had to come out with even commercials. What did they call them? The little there's a little something noise that would people would hear it and they'll associate it with Charmin or with McDonald's. Anyway, the company I worked for spent probably gazillions of dollars coming up with this deal, and it lasted like 5 months, and they did away with it. But I don't know if I have one. I don't know, Ann.
Yeah, well, you dealt with
Favorite
sound and
sound.
music, and so.
I do love me some George Strait.
Oh, there
I love
you
when
go.
George
Okay.
Strait comes
All right.
on. That's
All
a good
right.
sound.
All right, one last question. When you arrive at the pearly gates, what do you want to hear the Lord say?
Well, I would guess he would say, "Boy, Zach, you've had a very interesting life, and you didn't always make the right choices, but by golly, you're here now."
Amen.
So
Amen.
yeah.
Yeah. He's blessed us both with
Yes, he
with
has.
wonderful lives. And Zach, it's always a joy. It's just so much fun to get to sit down with you and wish Jim were here.
Oh, yeah.
Wish Frank Fallon were here.
He would love
Wish
this.
Jim Miller were here. I mean, I just think of all the ones that we've known and loved and that have gone on to
Oh, yeah.
their
Oh, my
great
gosh.
reward. But yeah, but we're still here and kicking, and you've got a great new thing coming starting on January 6th, 8 to 10.
January 6th. But
Right.
remember, my main gig is selling real estate.
All
You want
right.
to buy or sell that house, by golly, here I am.
Okay. All right.
I'll make you laugh through the sale.
Yes, yes, he will. Well, thanks, Zach, and thanks for being with us. And we'll see you next time on Central Texas Life.
Ann Harder's the best.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.